Hello, gardeneers. Welcome to another garden interview. I'm here today with Cid Rim from Austria, our second artist in residence. If you're new here, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos. So, you're a drummer slash multi-instrumentalist. At what age did you get into drumming?
I started drumming, I believe, when I was 12.
Yeah.
And started playing piano when I was 6 as a smaller kid. And then probably started making music on the computer at about with 14, 15-ish. And yeah.
Yeah, quite young. Was it like when you started piano and drumming, was it a conscious decision of yours, or was it more influence from like your parents or?
Starting to play piano was definitely influenced by my parents. My older sister was also playing piano. As soon as I started going to school, I just went to the same teacher, and it's quite a normal thing in Vienna. Lots of kids just play instruments from an early age. Very, standard, bit more boring classical music for kids, and then at some age, like, proper classical scores. And at some point, I was not willing to practice anymore. Slowly faded out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And way later, when I started making music on a computer, I suddenly realized how helpful it is to play piano, because it's pretty much every computer music software is based on the piano. I don't even know the word in English, on the piano scale, basically.
Yeah.
And so, that was very helpful.
Yeah, and was it easy for you to get into the electronic vibes?
Easy, I mean, I guess so. It was just fun, because it was, at that age, it was just mind-blowing what you could do with that there are these programs, and you can just make music with it, record stuff, loop it, and basically just try to make stuff that sounded like the music that I was listening to at the time, and was sampling lots of jazz records and try to make hip-hop beats out of it and stuff like this.
Yeah, so was jazz and hip-hop sort of like your go-to genre that influenced you a lot?
Yeah, definitely. And then also electronic music, IDM stuff, lots of like UK electronic music, dance music as well. But yeah, hip-hop and jazz was definitely a big foundation.
Yeah. And did you start producing by yourself, or did you do that with friends?
With friends. I had 2 other friends, and we all had the same program. One of them had an older sister as well, and her boyfriend gotten the copy of this music software called Reason. And he just gave it to us. We all made illegal copies and started playing around with it. And whenever anyone was finding out some, a knob that would do something or some effect, we'd call each other and say like, "Oh, I found this amazing thing." So we were sharing the learning experience, I guess.
Yeah. You've been in the music industry for a while now. What would you say it was your biggest challenge so far?
I think the biggest challenge along the way is at some point, and that's not only in the music industry, I think that's generally if you're self-employed and if you're not like working a steady, normal job, it's about knowing when to take time off, when to shut down, when to just go on holiday or do nothing. And that's definitely a big challenge. And on the other hand, it's also, you're your own boss. You need to have the discipline to just like do the stuff as well. So it's both the pros and cons of being your own boss is, I think, the most challenging thing.
Yeah, okay. And your music has evolved a lot throughout the years. How would you say your relationship between your music and your own personal growth, how did it evolve throughout these last years?
I think it always goes hand in hand. It's for me, making music is a very personal experience, and it's very much informed by my taste and what I do, and if it's very intuitively, if it feels right or not. So it's very tapped into my own emotions and what I think about the music I'm making, and I never really have a plan of where to go career-wise, or have like big plans for like, oh, the next album is gonna be my whatever, that genre album or that genre. I don't have these kind of plans. I just I make these decisions informed by just intuition and my own taste. But since that is the base, the premise of what I do, it's very much tapped into my own personal growth, and musical growth and personal growth is very, very attached to each other.
Yeah. And how do you think that shaped you as an artist?
I hope for the better. I mean, yeah. I can't really say. There's no other way, you know. I just have to do what I like, and that's the way it is. And I'm just hoping that I can go on with that forever.
Yeah, nice. When looking at your website, I see there's a big floating fork around. Mm-hmm. What's the story behind that?
So anything visual, I'm always very much in collaboration with someone from the label that I'm signed to, Lucky Me. Mm-hmm. He's one of the two bosses of the label, called Dom, and we're both very much share our interest in food and eating out and just like trying new restaurants. And when I was living in London, we were meeting every weekend or every second weekend, just go to Soho, check out a nice new restaurant or something. So naturally, when we're talking about music stuff or visual stuff, at some point he just threw in a fork and was twisting. I was like, oh my God, I love it. And then it was like, we should make a schnitzel that turns. I was like, even better. Yeah. And then somewhere in came like a hard-boiled egg. I was like, I love hard-boiled eggs. There's no food that doesn't get any better if we put a hard-boiled egg on it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's just the story behind it. Personal interest. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you also keep like a lot of like personal relationships with your music and your art and all that.
Yeah. It's very the people I work with are very much a friendship circle.
Yeah. How important for you is to keep these close friendships when it comes to music?
I think it's very important. I don't know it any other way. It just evolved in a way where the people I worked with were friends already or gotten to be friends during the process of working with them. So yeah, it's very much feels like a family. And also, again, there's probably 100 different ways to do it. It's probably nice to have maybe people you work with that are completely just on a professional relationship is on a completely professional level only. But I don't have that, so I don't know how it would be. It's just like that's my way. I just friends with everyone I work with.
Yeah. And I saw as well more recently with your music, you've been trying out new things. So I saw you posted on Instagram that you just wrote your first TV score.
Yeah.
How different is it to go through the process of writing a TV score compared to when you're producing your own music?
It is quite different, but I think in that particular TV show I scored just now, it's called Testo and is a German bank heist scene series. It was quite a lucky coincidence that I could very much do what I liked as a score and like could very much try out what I wanted and follow my own compass of taste. So in the end it wasn't that much different to making my own music, as opposed to sometimes directors or production companies have like a very distinct idea where they say like it needs to sound like this, it needs to be distorted guitars or something. Yep. In my case it was a very open brief, and I always liked action movies, and I had a bunch of references in my head already how to approach like a action or bank heist series. And so yeah, obviously it's a bit different because you're you have to work to the picture. You can't do anything that doesn't work with what you see.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is you see it right away. You try something out, you put the music underneath, you watch the scene, and you just feel it right away. It works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so it's a very direct way of working.
Yeah. And I guess it comes a lot as well with a bit of improvisation, because if you look at the scene, you wait until...
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Sometimes I literally watch the scene in a loop and start playing piano and just see what notes fit, or put a different instrument on a MIDI piano and just see what could work. And so yeah, also very very improvised and intuitive way of working. And then obviously once you have like a sound direction that works, it gets easier because you have a couple of instruments or a sound world that you made that you can always go back to for the next scene.
Yeah, of course. Would you consider making more TV scores for shows and films?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. It was so cool. And so yeah, I'm down for doing that more often.
Yeah. And when it comes to improvisation, how important is improvisation for you in your shows? Do you do a lot of improvisation?
In my shows, a little bit. There's pockets within the songs where... So it's never 100% the same, but the arrangements and the song length basically is locked in. That's always the same. I play the song pretty much in the exact same arrangement and length it is on the record. But within that, there's room for improvisation. Maybe I'll play something like a little bit different on the piano or on the synthesizer, or I'll play a groove a little bit different on the drums. But it's like within the form, there's pockets where I can improvise. But I do have another project with a close friend of mine called Dorian Concept, where we the live show concept is basically we both improvise, and he's got lots of looping pedals, not too dissimilar from the last show here with Niels Bros and Jimmy Pete, just from technically, because he's also plays synthesizers and I play the drums. In the actual result of what we're playing, it sounds pretty different, but it's also completely improvised, and yeah, I love that. I also go to lots of improvised jazz concerts, and I'm a big fan of improvisation.
Yeah. And with your music, where did you find like all your inspiration and influences?
It can literally be anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's something, I guess when you're younger, it's more actual music. The first things I've ever done as a teacher is definitely imitating other artists or imitating music that I really liked, or just like see how close you can get to your favorite song. And then slowly you switch the imitation process, which is very important for learning, I think. You switch it to having your own handwriting and developing what you really want to do yourself. And so I think now it doesn't have to be music. It can literally be anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
You go to the studio and see what happens.
Yeah.
It can be someone calls you, makes you think of something.
Yeah, of course.
And that leads to something else, and then you do something with that. It can literally be anything.
Yeah, and you've lived around as well a lot in many different places, so I guess you get a lot of influences from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's quite hard to pin it down in terms of how your surroundings are shaping the music that comes out at the end. But it's definitely stimulating to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's not always like the obvious thing where, I don't know, you go to I don't have any examples, but it's definitely it does something when you leave your comfort space and go to another city. Or go to
Are you
another place.
comfortable with leaving your comfort zone? Is that also something that you had to learn through the process of really getting out of that?
I think I was always really interested in other places generally.
Yeah.
And so it's probably wasn't that hard for me to get out of a comfort zone. Also, the evolvement of making music is just happens in a way where you just have to do the next thing always. And even if you know, like, ooh, that's going to be uncomfortable, but once you know it, that's the direction, or you need to do that, you just have to do it. There's no way to negating that your system or your soul or whatever musical kind of like creational part in yourself wants to go somewhere. You then can't block it. You just have to go through with it, I think.
Yeah.
And that makes you leave your comfort zone on the way.
Yeah, true. And with moving around a lot, how do you manage to stay up to date with your music and all your different projects?
Do you mean making my own music?
Yeah, with either making your own music or thinking of new projects, because with moving around a lot, I guess it can be difficult to sometimes focus on one thing.
I guess for me it's quite simple. You just work. I try to work Monday till Friday and try to not work on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
And just try to get a, strict schedule. Not too strict, but if you just go to the studio every day, naturally you'll end up making music.
Yeah. How often do you go to the studio?
This year is a little bit special because for the first 9 months of the year, I was going to the studio almost every day and didn't have too many weekends off because I've done my next album, but also the TV score and lots of other jobs I do on the side. They're also music related. So I was just very busy. And then I decided to try to work as little as possible for the rest of the year, which then that led to, for the last 3 months, maybe me working something like half-time or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But usually in like a more regular and steady lifestyle, I would say I just go to the studio five times a week.
Okay. Yeah, quite often. Yeah. And what is your creative process like when you get to the studio, when you decide to work on a new project?
I don't really have a blueprint. I've done it lots of different ways. For the last album, I just tried to make sketches, make ideas, and.
What is your favorite approach, if you have one? Or maybe if there's a particular album that you're really proud of and that you took a different approach.
Every track is different. I was just about to say that usually I just make a sketch, and then the next day I make another one. If it's good, I'll work on another day of it. As soon as I think like, maybe I can do something better, I switch to the next one. Until there's one where I'm like, oh, this is really good, and then I finish it right away, like as long as it takes.
Yeah.
For the record that I started this year, I've done it differently. I just set myself a time frame of 3 months where I'm like, I'm gonna only do one sketch every day, and if it's done in an hour, I'll leave the studio after an hour. If I need the whole day, if I need 14 hours for it, I'll stay for 14 hours, but it's just gonna be one thing a day. And then at the end of the 3 months, I'll look what I have, take the best ones and finish it. And that was very different for me because usually once I have the excitement of something where I know I'm onto something, this is going to be good, I stay in the zone and finish it right away. So this time it was a little bit harder to go back to the older sketches and then finish it, but it still worked. So tons of different ways.
Yeah,
you can go in the studio and just play records,
whatever. Yeah.
And record anything for an hour, and that's the album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're confident enough to put that out, can be done in an hour.
Yeah.
So there's tons of different ways.
Yeah. When did you start implementing singing with playing?
In terms of singing with my own voice was the last album.
Okay.
I've done bits of pieces of using my own voice all the time. But never in like a prominent lead vocal with lyrics kind of way. That's where I started for the last album, Songs of Vienna.
Yeah.
And I also didn't plan that to do. Usually I had a couple of vocal features on my albums. And sometimes I recorded my own, the melodies that I wanted to have as a pilot, and then go into the studio with a feature artist, see what they come up with, or maybe play them my version and see if they want to use that melody. And sometimes we used it, sometimes we used the feature artist melody. And this time around, I also recorded that, my own top lines. And then thought, why not try out write my own lyrics? And then I thought, okay, I'm actually done now. Like this could just be the lead vocal. It could just be mine. And I was like, I kind of like it, so I just left it.
Okay, yeah. So for you, it was sort of like easy to get into the songwriting and.
No, it was quite. Wasn't easy because it was very new. But you start doing it and practice, and then eventually you get better.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to figure out what kind of melodies and top lines and lyrics I wanted to have for the first couple of songs where I've done it. It was actually quite laborious, but once you're in it, you kind of.
Yeah. Do you have a particular moment within that process where it took like sort of an unexpected turn and evolved into something completely different from like your initial version or vision?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
I think you need these things where the thing decides what it wants.
Yeah.
And just the music throws a curveball towards you, and it's like, oh no, actually it should go that way, and you throw everything away you've done for the last 3 hours, go down that way, and then that leads to something else, and that might be the end product, so it's I think it's very important to listen to what the track wants to tell you, and not only have a completely set in stone idea and say like, this is what I want the music to sound like. I think it's important to obviously do that and do your own thing and have an idea for the music, but also be a really good listener in terms of what the music is telling you, where it wants to go, or what kind of track it wants to be.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, before I go on to the fast-paced questions, I want to ask you if you could describe yourself with one word, what would it be?
Human.
Human, nice. Never got that one before. And I guess the most simple one, because it's true, we're all human. All right, fast-pacing questions. Your dream collab, if you have like an artist, big artist that you would love to collaborate with.
Wow. John Coltrane.
Nice. Favorite season of the year?
Spring.
Spring. If your music was a color, what would it be?
Tangerine.
Okay. What's your favorite dish?
Schnitzel.
Sweet or salt?
Salt.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
City or countryside?
City.
London or Vienna?
Well, now I have to say Vienna. I'm back Vienna.
Beers or cocktails?
Beers.
Pepsi or Coca-Cola?
Coca-Cola.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Both.
And finally, recording or performing?
Recording.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's everything I have for you today.
Amazing. Good questions.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This was Cid Rim. If you like the video, make sure to give us a thumbs up. And you can donate as well if so that we can keep on making these interviews and beautiful live streams. This was Cid Rim, our second artist in residence. And yeah, we'll be doing our show tonight. Bye-bye and see you later.
Bye. Thanks for the interview.